morning, guys. So this section we are going to be jumping into how to write equations in point slope form. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a second to recognize and remember the two other forms of linear equations that we've seen so far. So just to remind you guys, we have seen slope-intercept form, and we've seen standard form. Okay, with slope-intercept form, we have graphed equations in slope-intercept form, and we've written equations in slope-intercept form. And for standard form, we have just graphed. Today we are going to be adding to that skill set by learning how to write equations in this third form called point slope form. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you know one point on a line and the slope, you can write the equation of the line in point slope form. The line passes through the point, what we're going to call x1, y1, and has a slope of m. So in point slope form, the linear equation is written in the form y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, which is this big equation written here in the black. And as you can see, we really have three parts to the point slope form linear equation. Our first part here is pointing to this y1. Again, that is what we're going to call the y-coordinate of the point that our line passes through. So this is our y-coordinate. And this x1 here will be our x-coordinate. And like usual, guys, there will be some questions that I will be asking you guys to respond to in the chat. So for your first point, your first question is, what does this m stand for? So we've seen this m a lot. We've been working with it for the past few days. What does that m stand for? And the hint is that it starts with an S. If you have not already, go ahead and drop slope in the chat for me. M does stand for slope. Remember, it's how a line moves. So M for moves. So to write the equation of a line in point slope form, substitute the slope, the x coordinate, and y coordinate, then simplify. So we'll generally be given a point and a slope, and we're simply substituting those values into our point slope form equation. But looking at number 5, if you were given more than one point and no slope, then first find the slope. And then you can use any of the given points to then go ahead and write the equation. And to check if your equation is correct, check if the given point is a solution to the equation. Meaning if you plugged in the numbers of that point, it would give you a true statement at the end, meaning it is a solution to the equation. So let's go ahead and practice these ideas. So what is the equation of the line that passes through the point -5, 10 with a slope of -2? Write the equation in point slope form. So what I like to do first is I'm going to take all the information that I have, -5, 10, and a slope of 2, of -2. And with my point right here, I'm going to go ahead and label it x1, y1. So the -5 is my x coordinate, the 10 is my y coordinate. and a slope of -2 means m equals -2. Notice now I have all three of the parts that I need to substitute into my equation. And I like to start off by writing my equation again, just to get it in my mind and help me memorize it a little bit faster. And then I'm just gonna plug in my values. Y minus 10 equals -2 times x plus 5. Keep in mind this plus is coming from x minus a -5. So minusing a negative is the same thing as adding 5. So here is my equation written in point slope form. Pause the video at any point, guys, if you need to slow down or rewatch anything. Let's go ahead and look at our second example. What is the equation of the line that passes through the points 1, -2, and -8, 6? Write the equation in point slope form. So in this situation, we are given 2 points. So what's the first thing for your second question here? If you are given more than 1 point, what do you need to find first? What do you need to find first? So we are given 2 points here. What do we need to find first to help us write our equation in point slope form? And the answer is find slope first. And if you guys remember finding slope in our previous section, we found slope using this little formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That was in our 4.1 notes. And I'm really just plugging in my x and y coordinates to its proper spot. So I will call this my y2, which is 6, minus my y1, which is a -2, over my x2, which is -8, minus x1, which is 1, equals 8 over -9. So my m, or my slope, is -8 over 9. So I now have a point and a slope that I can plug in to my point slope form. So y minus -2 again, this y minus -2 is the same thing as y plus 2 equals -8 over 9 times x minus 1. That is our equation written in point slope form. And here at the bottom, there's one more important note. After you write an equation in point slope form, you can use the distributive property. So we haven't heard that in a while, but you can use the distributive property to write it in slope intercept form. So now we're going to be able to go between point slope form to slope intercept form, and we will be able to see these two forms within the same problem and use them later on. Perfect. Let's go ahead and look at some more examples. So for question number 1, what is the equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 6 with a slope of -5? Write the equation in point slope form. Before we start this example, go ahead and drop in the chat for me what is point slope form? Okay. So rewind the video if you need to, but let me know in the chat, what is point slope form? And point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. My y1, again, is my y coordinate, so y minus 6. My m is a slope of -5, so m is -5 times x minus my x coordinate of 1, so x minus 1. And this is my equation written in point slope form. So it's very straightforward when we're given a point and a slope. It's a little bit extra steps when we're given 2 points where we have to find the slope first. But in our second example, what is the equation of the line that passes through the point -8, -12 with a slope of 6? Write the equation in point slope form and slope intercept form. So again, it's very straightforward because we're given a point and a slope. So all we're doing is substituting. So again, our slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I will substitute my y coordinate, which is a -12, with a slope of 6, x minus my x coordinate of -8. So I went ahead and showed you guys that one extra step of how I get this positive. So minus a negative will give me a +12. And then 6x minus -8 is just +8. And this is my equation in point slope form, but it's also asking us to write it in slope intercept form. So your second or your third question, I believe, is what property will I use to write in slope intercept form? To write it in slope intercept form. So look back at the previous notes in the video. What property will I use to go from point slope form to slope intercept form? And if you look at number 8 on the previous note pages of notes, you'll see that we are using the distributive property, which tells me I want to distribute this 6 to whatever in these parentheses. And what that will do is that will give me y plus 12 equals 6 times x, and then 6 times +8, which is 48. And again, my slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I want to get this y by itself. So I will subtract 12 on both sides, leaving me with y equals 6x plus 36. And that is my same equation for the same line written now in slope intercept form. Perfect. Let's go ahead and keep moving on with some examples. There's about 2 more. We're going to ignore this 5th one down here and just get through these 2 more examples. So number 3, what is the equation of the line that passes through the points -3, -2, and -9, -4? Write the equation in point slope form. So this is that situation where we're given 2 points. So the first thing we need to do is to find the slope. And again, to find the slope when we're given 2 points is this little formula of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm just going to be plugging in those different coordinates to the appropriate spot. So I'm going to call this -4 my y2. So -4 minus my y1, which is a -2. And x1, which is -9, minus my x1, which is -3, is -2 over -6. Or I can simplify that to 1/3. So my m is 1/3. Again, I now have all of the pieces to plug, all of the pieces to plug into my point slope form. And your next question is, remember I want to plug in the coordinates of the points given for my y coordinate and my x coordinate. And I'm given 2 points. So my next question is, can I use any point, or is there only one correct choice? So of my 2 given points, can I choose any of them to put into my equation, or is there only one choice? So I'll put that right here. Can I use either point for my equation? Or is there only one choice? Looking back on our first page of notes, guys, number 5 says if you are given more than 1 point, number 6, you can use any of the given points to write the equation. So either point, putting it into that equation will give us the correct equation for that line. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this first point here to use. So y minus a -2 equals 1/3 times x minus a -3, giving me y plus 2 equals 1/3 x plus 3. So that is if I used this first point here. But I'm going to go ahead and use this space since we're not doing this last problem. I can still use this second point here and it'll still be a correct equation. So if I used this second point, it would be y minus the x coordinate of a -4 equals 1/3 x minus the y coordinate of -9, giving me another equation for the same line of y plus 4 equals 1/3 x plus 9. So both of these equations are both the correct equations in point slope form of the line passing through these 2 points. All right, last example, guys, number 4. What is the equation of the line that passes through the points 3, 6, and 8, 14? Write the equation in point slope form and slope intercept form. So again, we have 2 points. So our first thing that we need to do is we need to find the slope of this line. Again, using this y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 14 minus my y1 of 6 divided by my x2 of 8 minus my x1 of 3, leaving me with 8 over 5. So my m, or my slope, is 8 over 5. And then I will simply choose one of these points. Remember, I can use either one and it'll still be the correct equation. So I'm going to choose this first one right here and plug that in. So y minus my y coordinate of 6 equals 8/5 times x minus my x coordinate of 3. So there is my point slope form. But it also wants it in slope intercept form. So remember, I'm going to use the distributive property to go ahead and distribute this 8/5 to everything in the parentheses, giving me y minus 6 equals 8/5 x minus 8/5 times negative 3 is a negative 24/5. Recall that my slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I want to get my x alone. Leaving me with y equals 8/5 x minus 24/5. And since I have a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and turn this 6 into a fraction, which is 30/5, because I want it to have the same denominator. That way I can combine the like terms as fractions. And this will leave me with a result of 8/5 x plus 6/5, which is my equation for the same line, but now written in slope-intercept form.